you may be thinking, who is that? That's Gil Scott-Heron. That's winter in America, and it is winter in America, and it's winter just about everywhere. In fact, everywhere in the northern hemispheres. This is the Confidential Show. My name is Iggy Pop. I'm the host, and I choose the music. I saw that gentleman, Gil Scott-Heron, play live once a long time ago when I lived in New York City. And, you know, the city was rougher then, and it was at a place called The Kitchen. They still exist, I imagine, but this was the original Kitchen. It was a little second-story room with a rickety little staircase up to it over a convenience store on Houston Street near the corner of Mulberry, where John Gotti and his friends used to play cards. And, you know, it was a cold winter night, and I had always been curious about Gil Scott-Heron, so I thought, I'm going to go to see him. I went all by myself, and he went into this room. It was just a little box, represented the stage. He had what I believe is a Hohner or maybe a Wurlitzer electric piano set up on it, and the seating was just bare, jerry-rigged benches of plain wood, unpainted wood, no backs on the benches. And there were room for maybe 75, 80 people in that room before you really started packing them tight. There weren't even 12 of us. There were maybe 8 of us, 9 of us, 11, I don't know, something like that. He played and accompanied himself on the piano all alone. He was very serious, very focused. He's a rough musician with great ideas. It wasn't polished, but the voice has soul. It wasn't the kind of, he wasn't going to give a commercial singer any run for their money, but he had feel. He wasn't Ray Charles, but he had feel. And I thought about it, well, gee, he can't be making much money doing this. And he had a pretty rough outro on his life, and he got mixed up in some drugs he couldn't handle, I reckon, and passed away way uptown. But he's left behind a hell of a body of songs, and tonight and in nights to come, I'm going to play some of them because it's just great for everybody to hear him. And in death, he's going to do nothing but grow. He wrote an autobiography. I'm still somewhere in his very late childhood in Nashville as he's trying to get up and out and go to college, and that's not really working out. But he's a wonderful man. Here he is again. This is called The Bottle. America has to offer, I reckon, and he's telling it his way. There's some guys from loosely what might be termed the Phoenix area, the desert area around Phoenix, apparently doing it their own way also. And I like them. This is one song of many that you'll probably hear if you hang out here in weeks to come. This is Destruction Unit, Evil Man. I hope you dug that a bit. You may never have heard him or heard of him. That was a man named Percy Mayfield, and he's from Louisiana, and he was someone I learned about through the Prime Movers Blues Band, and the leader of which was a man named Michael Erlewine, who is a very erudite American music lover and sometime contemporary of all the best folk singers in the 60s that came through the Midwest. And Michael knew his music, and playing in his band, I first heard Percy. Michael went on to found something called the All Music Guide, or Guide to All Music, and pre-wiki. It's pretty darn good. Anyway, that was called The River's Invitation. I always loved it. Basically, the river invites him into a mystic marriage, which will involve his death, but also some peace from the troubles and strife and disquiet and disappointment of this life. Wow, yeah, I could get heavy. Oh, yeah. I'm going to play Percy again. Percy comes home and he's a stranger in my own hometown. Oh, that was a great Albert Collins, but I was cool. Ooh, the guitar solo is so good in that. Damn. But I do enjoy the way Albert he sort of lets himself become unhinged when he portrays the inner angst that he's hiding behind his coolness with that took some big BALS's to deal with that. So, fair enough. And now it's time for the Six Music News. Yeah, mama. And I can't recommend Fred enough to anybody who likes to mess around with guitars and hollering the blues and doing a little porch music. I like to sit around and play my little versions of his songs. He was from North Mississippi, where the vibe tends to be more hypnotic, and he liked to drink. And depending on what he'd had to drink, the tempos get really fast and irritable, as this one was a bit, or sometimes they get real slow and moody too, depending on, I think, where he's at in his high, frankly. But I love him. And that song just goes to show strip clubs are not a new thing in the USA. My name is Iggy Pop. This is the Confidential Show. And one of my favorite artists this year is Kamasi Washington. And he's got a great record called The Epic. It came out, well, technically last year. But, the years blend together to a guy like me. And here's part one of Rerun Home. You heard my very favorite Fat White Family, Whitest Boy on the Beach, and amazingly enough, that's a rather new release. I don't make a fetish of being absolutely on it here at the Confidential Show. I just play what I like. When I first heard this, Whitest Boy on the Beach, that, evoked a whole lot of memories when I was a little chap. You'd read comic books, and in the back there was always an ad for a muscle building device you could buy that would prevent you from having sand kicked in your face at the beach because you only weighed 98 pounds and you were a 98-pound weakling. And that, of course, gave license for the large, buff muscle dudes to kick sand in your face, but also to do it in front of your girlfriend. And it made a big impression. Stuff like that they pump into you when you're little makes a big impression. So anyway, the Whitest Boy on the Beach, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a positive, a negative, or just an observation. But anyway, Fat White Family has a nice sound, and I dig them. Here's Percy Mayfield, Louisiana. Oh, yeah, let me down easy, little Milton. In my experience, being let down easy when it's slow, that's the worst. It would be better to get a kick in the ass and an insult. But the songwriter had something to say, and it reminds me of, I think the Rolling Stones listened carefully to a lot of music like that. A hell of a nice chorus. And Little Milton, you don't hear enough about. Here's another guy that you don't hear enough about, but people know. This is Angel Dust, Gil Scott-Heron. Angel. Children, would you listen to me? It's a cautionary song with a little chorus that sounds so good. Have you ever had that? I have. Ugh. Bleh. And lucky to survive it. Anyway, I know this next guy a little bit. His name's Cale, the Welsh man with an actual music degree who played viola so beautifully on the first record I ever recorded, which was just called The Stooges. And he has, I don't know, I would call it his hit. He has this one song, I keep a close watch on this heart of mine, that has impressed and moved everyone who's heard it that I know for many, many years. And that was out in 1982 on an album called Music for a New Society. He's reworked it now from his kind of new album, M Fans. So here it is, close watch, John Cale.
Dangerous. Oh, yes, ordinary. Well, dangerous woman.
Well, he's right. Junior's right, and that's a typical situation. Watch it. Junior Parker has such a beautiful, beautiful voice. It's just easy to listen to anything he sings. He's one of those guys who, he had a couple of what amounted to hits on what they used to call the race charts. Played what they used to call their Chetland Circuit, and he's a very classy guy, always with a good band, and he bridged over from blues right up through what was called rhythm and blues when it was, frankly, better constructed than it is now, not so over-embellished. So yeah, I'm going to play several other things by Junior later in this hour. And here's Kamasi again. Kamasi, the Young Turk of the rebirth of jazz. Rerun Home Part 2. That's Destruction Unit again. I'll bet they're gigs or something, eh? I would like to see that and hear it, feel it. They're from the wilds of Arizona, and that was If Death Ever Slept. Here's something completely different with the charm and innocence of the old America. Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds, Rock Creek Park. Chicken Shack long ago. And, you get yourself a deep fryer and a bunch of chickens, a little bit of breadcrumbs, and somebody who can play a musical instrument, you're in business. At least that's the way it was. Fish fries, too, used to be big, but I'm going to switch off and go contemporary now. Yes, I know. I know what time it is. And back to back, here's Prefuse 73 for some, but not for me. And then from their latest record, Sleaford Mods, Tarantula, Deadly Cargo. Now that is a groove, boy, that hooked me. That is Watusi by Harmonia, or since Harmonia were a German group, Watusi, the opening track from their 1974 debut, Musik von Harmonia. I have been reminded that the band could be retrospectively considered a German space rock supergroup, as it consisted of both members of the band, Cluster, as well as Noi guitarist Michael Rother. I want to tell you, Michael Rother has been just one of my favorite living musicians, in the sense that he's still living and has been living for most of the time that I've been listening, just forever and a day, and just has given me so much interest in continuing my life. What more can you ask for? And I'm thrilled to say he's going to present his own confidential show at my request, invitation, whatever you want to call it, later this month in late February. All right, I'm going to move along now. It's time for somebody else's show. Hats off to all the great musicians and singers that graced this show, and hats off to anyone who bothered to hang out and